Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saur Darkchylde, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Replay Ace Attorney Investigations. Last time, we finished up the third case of this game, the kidnap turnabout. Now, we are about to continue on in the fourth case in the game, Turnabout Reminiscence, as we take a journey back in time to the day that Miles Edgeworth and Detective Dick Gumshoe officially met and became a dynamic duo. Let's get started. Kay Faraday, the young lady who calls herself the second Yatagarasu. The piece of cloth that she conjured up has taken me back to many years ago. 7 years earlier. Yeah, that's right. I did it. I killed the guy. But it was the great thief Yatagarasu that told me to do it. I asked the defendant, just exactly how do you say? Hey, oh wait, the dialogue is going too fast. I can't read it all. The Yatagarasu is the man standing over there in the prosecutor's bench. Are you saying that I'm the Yatagarasu? Don't you dare deny it! You told me to kill the man when you snuck in an assembly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Mr. Rowe, oh, I think you've... Your Honor, please listen to me. I'm telling the truth. You gotta believe me. In accordance with the defendant's accusation, a new prosecutor shall be called to replace Mr. Faraday. The court will be in recess until the prosecutor is ready. And this one's in a courtroom. September 10th, 2012. 3:20 p.m. District Court, 3rd floor lobby. It's almost time for me to enter the courtroom. And so it was that my first assignment as a prosecutor will be as a replacement for a prosecutor who has been accused by the defendant. Edgeworth? Sir. Have you read over all the documents regarding this trial? Yes, sir. I've memorized everything that is to know. Very good. The paperwork for the prosecutor's submission is just about complete. Edgeworth, always bear in mind that as your mentor, I, Manfred von Karma, will accept nothing short of perfection. I understand, sir. To have the chance to stand in the court at such an early stage in my career, I am honored and proud. As I have watched over your studies, I am giving you this very rare chance. Prove yourself! Crush the defendant's pathetic lies into oblivion! Yes, sir. This is the legendary prosecutor. Such a legendary prosecutor is watching over and judging my performance. I have to be perfect in every way. Today's trial should have ended in just 1 minute. Because the defendant was picked up by the security camera. Correct? Exactly. The killer had the gall to say that he only killed because he was instructed to do so. Even more outrageous is his claim that the case prosecutor, Byron Faraday, gave him the order. Ha! Faraday is such a fool. He's been cornered by his very own prey. Sir, are you an acquaintance with Mr. Byron Faraday? He is a pathetic man who speaks nothing but nonsense. Nonsense? He once tried to explain to me a way of punishing those who cannot be brought to court. Those who cannot be brought to court? That is nonsense, for no man is above the law. Tell that to Well, there are always a few exceptions. However, there is no reason to even deal with such individuals. A prosecutor is a guardian of the court, one with no obligation to outside matters. Thus, there is no reason to deal with such individuals. I see. Edgeworth, disgracing yourself as Faraday will not be forgiven. Have no fear. I will not let you down, sir. In place of the accused, Prosecutor Byron Faraday, I'll prove the defendant's guilt. Very good. I've secured an hour of recess for you to prepare and do just that. Show them all the power of Von Karma! So, have you achieved the film understanding of this case? Have you achieved a firm understanding of this case? Yes, sir. I have memorized everything that is written down in the case files. Well then, explain the case to me. I want to see if you really know what you are talking about. Understood. A murder was committed on September 8th in front of the Courthouse embassy. The victim, Mr. Deadman, gee, how original, was a staff member at the emissary. The defendant in this case is Mr. Mackrell. Was held for question in the night of the incident as he was deemed suspicious. He was quickly placed under arrest for possession of a murder weapon, a gun. Furthermore, at the time of the murder, the great thief Yatagarasu had successfully infiltrated the Sheltafan embassy as well. At first, Rel claimed that he himself was the Yatagarasu, but that he did not kill the dead man. I wonder what he experienced, what he expected to gain from such a desperate lie.
It's possible that he wants to go down while in the spotlight, if he is found guilty. There is truly no limit to people's insanity. Inanity. But I digress. Continue, Edgeworth.
Yes, sir. During the trial, the prosecution presented the security footage that captured the murder. The footage clearly showed Mr. Rel as the murderer.
The act of Mr. Rel firing the gun could be clearly seen from the visitor's gallery.
Upon seeing that, the defendant retracted his statement and admitted to the murder. I did it because I was told to. By the real Yatagarasu, Byron Faraday.
That sounds about right. However, you've forgotten one thing. While this may appear to simply be the murder of the Coruscant emissary staff member, people are actually referring to it as the second KG-8 incident.
The second KG-8 incident? I'm very sorry, sir. I fear I failed to study hard enough.
Well, even among the police, it's information that only a select few are privy to.
Could you please enlighten me, sir? Sir, what do you mean by the second KG-8 incident?
In order for me to tell you that, you must first learn the original case. Take a look at these documents.
This is a 3-year-old newspaper.
Have you heard of the Amano Group's scandal before, correct?
Yes, I have. The secretary of Ernst Amano, the Amano Group's director, was arrested under suspicion of smuggling.
Correct. CCU was an employee of the Amano Group, and the sole witness to the smuggling operation. It was she who brought the crime to light. However, Miss Yu was silenced before she can testify in court.
Wasn't the sort of an embassy staff member arrested for the murder?
Yes. I sort of him by the name of Manny Cohen was the suspect. However, due to the lack of evidence, the case went unresolved.
Lack of evidence?
Ha! If only I was in charge of the case. I would have done everything in my power to prove his guilt.
To make sure that all criminals are found guilty, my mentor really is dedicated.
Faraday was the prosecutor on the case then, and he was as pathetic as ever.
Mr. Faraday was in charge of the KG-8 incident as well.
That's right. And now, once again, the victim of the case you are currently assigned to was someone who was scheduled to testify against that smuggling organization.
And just like last time, the victim was murdered right before he could testify.
You're catching on. The victim was murdered just before his day in court against the smuggling operation. Events are occurring almost exactly the same way as they did in the original KG-8 incident.
So that's why it is being called the second KG-8 incident.
Yes. Yet, there is one difference between the two incidents.
What would that be?
The so-called noble thief that is sending everyone into an uproar. The great thief Yatagarasu.
Yatagarasu? I'd better find out more. If it is true that the Yatagarasu showed up for an emissary, what could he or she have been after?
No doubt to steal any suspicious accounting records and release them publicly. Or more likely, to steal secrets from the Chopin emissary itself. Since the item that the Yatagarasu stole from there was sent to the police.
What was it that the Yatagarasu sent to the police?
I don't know the details. Anything related to the Yatagarasu is getting the top secret treatment. Still, I find it very ironic. By returning the stolen item to the police, it was proof positive that the Yatagarasu had infiltrated the emissary on the same day as the staff member was killed. Criminals have a way of incriminating themselves, wouldn't you say?
That would have to be the first time the Yatagarasu had left evidence behind, correct?
Yes, indeed. If you wish to learn more about the Yatagarasu, then I suggest you ask Faraday.
Mr. Faraday?
He happens to be the prosecutor in charge of the Yatagarasu case as well.
He's the prosecutor in charge of both the KG-8 incident and the Yatagarasu case? Mr. Faraday really has a lot on his plate.
What is it, little girl?
You're scary, mister.
Did you need something?
I want to trade these coins with you.
A fistful of dimes, quarters, and pennies. But it looks like make you exactly $1. Is this what you want?
Thanks. That's exactly what I needed.
Could that child be here to watch the trial?
How disrespectful for a child like that to be running around inside the courthouse. Does no one have respect for this country's two-diddle system anymore?
The paperwork for the prosecutor's substitution is complete.
Why, do you even know how much time there is left before the trial resumes?
I'm so sorry.
I can have you mopping up this courthouse instead of protecting it in an instant.
It's no bother, sir. Nothing being completely prepared could prove to be the perfect handicap for me.
A proud one you are. You had better collect the evidence from Faraday and prepare yourself. It's time for your debut, Edgeworth. Just what is going on? Why isn't Faraday here yet? How is it possible that the defense is not prepared yet either?
Bailiff, where is Mr. Faraday?
I'm not sure.
I wasn't really paying attention.
All rise for the honorable judge.
Ah, you must be the one Mr. Von Karma recommended. I hear this will be your first trial. I look forward to seeing how you perform. Oh, by the way, was there someone celebrating a birthday during the recess? I could have sworn that I heard a popper going off. Come to think of it, the other day with my grandson. Sir, it looks like the trial is about to resume. However...
Yes, it will be all but impossible to prove the witness a liar without the evidence from Faraday. What is that blasted buffoon up to?
It's an emergency, sirs.
Oh, it was Gumshoe.
Silence!
There shall be no yelling in this sacred hall of the law. Bailiff, remove that man from this courtroom at once. Please, wait. You have to listen to me. There's an emergency. Defendant lobby number 2, Mr. Faraday and the defendant. The two of them, they're both dead, Your Honor.
What?
What?
What? Stay back. No one's allowed on the crime scene. Period. Just who does this oddball think he is? This is becoming quite the hotspot. Isn't she Mr. Rell's defense attorney?
Hey, you! No running in the halls, pal!
And who are you to tell me what to do? I'll never find out what's going on like this. It's time for some civil discourse. And you are?
Who, me? Hey, pal! It's common courtesy to tell someone your name first before asking theirs.
Point taken. My name is Miles Edgeworth. I am a district prosecutor.
A prosecutor? I've never seen a prosecutor as young as you, pal. I've told you my name. Now, would you mind telling me yours? Detective Gumshoe, who just recently I achieved my dream of becoming a detective. More than a dream. It's what I was born to do. Wait, maybe I should check and make sure I'm really in some crazy dream first. This detective is entirely too excited to be at the murder scene. So, Detective Gumshoe, would you mind telling me what you know about the incident? You know that I don't have to tell you anything, right? I know that. But it would behoove you to fill me in on what you know. Wow, you're a proud one for such a youngster, aren't you? Well, anyway, Detective Bad is the one in charge. So you're just gonna have to ask him for all the details, okay? As for me, I was guarding the door to defendant lobby number 2. So you were the guard. Her detail? Did you notice anything strange while you were on duty? Well, I freaked out when I heard the gunshot, and then I kind of froze. You're a detective, and a measly gunshot scared you that much? Then again, I can hardly claim to know what it's like to hear one at close range. Then Detective Bad came running to the scene. We went into lobby number 2 together, and both men were lying there, dead. Is that everything? Yeah, that's it. I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle. Interesting. Other than the gunshot, he didn't hear a single sound of commotion? Guess that's all we're gonna get out of him. Do you have a minute?
You know, I'm not really into talking to people I don't know. Especially at a time like this.
Apologies for not introducing myself before bothering you. My name is Miles Edgeworth. I was to take Mr. Faraday's place in court.
Edgeworth, huh? Never heard of you. So Faraday's substitute is a newbie, huh?
I'll have you know, madam, that I studied under Manfred von Karma. Do not take me for some naive novice.
Don't take me for some naive novice. So you're a student of Von Karma? You should have chosen clothes. Those clothes are a dead giveaway.
Stop right there. These are the garments of one who gallantly presents the facts.
Thanks for the great laugh. But try not to make me laugh too much, okay?
I wasn't trying to do anything of the sort.
Just kidding. I was just goofing around. By the way, do you know who I am? My name is Callisto Yu. And if you're telling the truth, then we were about to go head-to-head in court.
But of course, I have heard much about you, Miss Yu.
But of course, I have heard so much about you. You're a regular Shakespeare.
Did I say something funny?
Okay. I'd like you to update me on the situation.
I don't really know anything. Why don't you try talking to those detectives over there?
If that's the case, then why are you here?
Ugh, what's so funny?
It's just the way you speak. It's so tactless. The person I was going against in court until only a little while ago was just murdered. It's not like I could go back into the courtroom pretending as though nothing happened.
That's a good point. I apologize for asking such an insensitive question.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
And that's it we're gonna get from her. Alright, you tough guy. Excuse me, but who are you?
Detective Tyrell Bad. Homicide.
I was informed, heard of the situation, and came as quickly as possible. So how did you arrive and inspect the body before me?
Faraday requested for me to testify in the trial. Plain and simple.
Mr. Faraday requested that you be here?
I've already contacted HQ about the situation. I've got nothing to say to you, kid.
Kid? I'm Mr. Faraday's substitute in today's trial. Therefore, I insist that you update me on the situation. I can't back down here. I have a right to know.
Do I need to teach you a thing or two about how to talk to adults, kid?
Is he threatening me? Is he going for his gun? It's just a mirror. How dare he trick me like that?
Faraday was stabbed to death with some kind of blade, and he had a gun in his hand. The other man, Mr. Macrell, was shot and killed. He was found holding a bloody knife in this hand.
Was there anyone else who went into defendant lobby number 2?
Yeah, that big lug over there. His name's Gumshoe. He was in charge of guarding the place. He's claiming that had no one else entered the room.
If that's the case then, they must have killed each other, correct?
Maybe.
Such impudence! This guy is really testing my patience! Why was I not informed that you were going to testify in court?
Homicides aren't my only gig. The Yatagarasu case is also one of my assignments.
So you were called upon to comment on the Yatagarasu's characteristics? In order to assess if Mr. Faraday really was the Yatagarasu or not?
Well, well. Looks like you just might have a brain after all in that head of yours, son.
Son? I'm not your son, Pops.
Miss you! There is someone here who wishes to see you.
Who is it? I hold off an embassy staff member by the name of Manny Khan.
What's going on? Detective Bad and Miss Yu's mood just changed all of a sudden. Wait a second. Wasn't Manny Khan? Caution.
I'll be right there.
It's nice to see you again, Miss Yu.
Why are you here? I have no desire to ever see you again.
Now. Actually, would you mind stepping outside for a brief chat?
Fine, let's go.
Bad?
Von Karma. It's been a long time.
I knew you would show up. You usually do when the Yaragarasu is involved, and I see this case is no exception.
Do you know Detective Bad, sir?
Yes, he's like an old bloodhound that never leaves the scene of a crime. If only he would get a promotion and move on.
It's the crime scene where a detective is the most useful and effective.
It's not like I don't know that. Moving on though, Bad. And the man that I just passed by. Was that not the suspect from the KG-8 incident?
So I was right.
Just what is the man doing wandering around here? That Faraday, I can't believe he let such an easy catch get away. Imbecile! I would have proved his guilt in 3 minutes.
Von Karma, I think you've said enough for now. It's in poor taste to speak like that about the departed.
Very well. Back to the topic. I'm placing Edgeworth in charge of the investigation here.
Objection!
Papa, how can you place him in charge?
Franziska, what are you doing here?
I'm here for summer vacation. What else?
Franziska von Karma. So she is here on vacation from Germany. She is the daughter of Manfred von Karma and a student of his, who's also junior to me.
You're the one who's junior to me. And don't you forget it.
You're not convincingly avoiding the bar exam. Conveniently avoiding the bar exam, are you?
Huh. If you were able to pass, then I'll have absolutely no trouble at all. I'll never allow myself to lose to you. Never!
Why does she always have to be this competitive?
Anyway, Papa, are you really assigning Miles Edgeworth to cover this case?
Yes, I am. Why do you ask?
Well, you know, I'm close to becoming prosecutor myself. And I am 100% confident that I can do a better job than him.
That's just like Franziska. She has no problem bad-mouthing someone right in front of them.
Yeah? These two will be conducting the investigation. What? You want me to let both of these kids loose in the crime scene? Ha! This is the perfect opportunity for them to work on their prosecutional skills. A crime scene is not a place for children to be messing around in. I'm the one in the authority, with the authority over this crime scene, Bad. And I will not tolerate complaining. Ugh. Edgeworth, Francisca, I leave this case to the two of you. Understood, sir.
Yes, Papa.
I'll go take care of the paperwork now. Remember, I'll accept nothing but perfection. Report from the both of you. Do not disappoint me. Hold up, Von Karma.
Miles Edgeworth.
It's been quite some time, Francisca.
This will be the perfect chance for us to see which of us is truly worthy of the Von Karma name.
Would it kill you to at least say hello?
Long time no see.
Very good.
Just because you became a prosecutor first doesn't mean you can act all proud.
She hasn't changed a bit.
Miles Edgeworth. As I was saying, we shall see which of us is worthy of the Von Karma name.
For crying out loud, I've been reduced to a babysitter. It looks like Mr. Von Karma was successful in convincing the detective. That's just like him. He never fails. Now, I'd appreciate it if you could quickly run me through the facts, Detective Bad. You're better off checking off things on your own. Very well. Seems like getting help from Detective Bad will be a most arduous task. Ugh. Is this the only real explanation that they killed each other simultaneously?
Miles Edgeworth, you should listen to someone until they are finished talking.
What were you talking about?
I'll only say it one more time. This is a competition to see who is truly worth the Von Karma name.
A competition?
The person who figures out the truth first wins.
So the person who doesn't discover the truth is a dishonor to the name.
Exactly! I don't care that you become a prosecutor before me. I simply refuse to hear any more foolish things come from your foolishly foolish mouth.
Fine. Whatever makes you happy.
Can I take that as you accept my challenge?
Once again, whatever makes you happy.
Huh. Well then, let's begin the investigation, shall we? I'm going to find the perfect evidence and a pretty presented like the professional I am.
Competing to discover the truth behind a crime. How delightfully childish.
You kids over there.
Kid?
Ha! Serves you right, Miles. He just called you a kid.
I said kids, kid.
How dare you call me a kid as well?
I'll do as I please, and I won't allow you to cause a ruckus upon my crime scene. Hey, big guy, you're going to watch over these two. Yes, sir. Detective Bad, sir. Now do what I say from now on, kids, okay?
You better not get in our way, Scruffy. You'll feel the bite of my whip if you do.
Then you prosecutor boy. Let's get your investigating started already, alright?
Great. Now even that detective is treating me like a kid.
Alright, it's time to get investigating. Get a move on, prosecutor boy!
My name is Miles Edgeworth. And if you were to call me a prosecutor boy one more time, it will be my duty as a prosecutor to look into your monthly salary.
What? And what would you do with my salary after you saw how much it was?
That's up to you now, isn't it?
Really? Sounds good, pal.
He's so naive. Let's get this underway. Detective Bad, may I have a word with you?
What is it?
It appears that both a knife and a gun were used as murder weapons. Yeah, it does. That leads us to our first question of the investigation. Where did the men acquire the weapons? The gun was inside of Mr. Faraday's bag. It was a piece of evidence that was presented in the trial earlier today. It was used to kill the Courthouse emissary staff member. But I never heard anything about a knife. Mr. Rell was being held by the police. There's no way he could have brought it in. Which means it's possible that Faraday had the knife on him from the start as well. Could it have been a piece of evidence that had yet to be presented? But then, why doesn't Detective Bad know about it? Wait, what if... It's possible that Mr. Faraday brought the knife in under the guise of the professional prosecutorial evidence. He could have then brought it head out and attacked Mr. Rell with it. Maybe you've got a brain in there after all, kid. Is he going to treat me like a kid forever? It looks like Mr. Faraday attacked Mr. Rell first, who then counter-attacked. That's the only logical conclusion you can draw from the scene like this. Not yet. I feel that it's much too early to be drawing conclusions already. I must first find conclusive evidence so as to ensure the honor of the Von Karma name.
And let's get on with it already.
There are some plastic bags stacked on the table. There's a tea set too, but there doesn't seem to be any sign of a disturbance.
Yeah, that's the table, neat and tidy. Maybe they were super quiet in their scuffle. After all, I didn't hear anything from out in the hallway, you know?
Maybe the plastic bags scattered on the floor are throwing us off. Why are there plastic bags scattered all around?
Those bags are for keeping evidence safe, pal.
I know that much, Detective.
You sure are good at this stuff, aren't you, pal?
Normally, I'd be happy when someone compliments me, but when it's this guy... Anyway, could these plastic bags be evidence of a fight between the two men? The window is open and there's a fresh air flowing scent in the air.
Ugh. The flowers in the garden down there are so gross and ghastly.
Do you think maybe you could try offering something useful for a change?
Well, at least there's no way someone escaped through this window, pal. They wouldn't wake up and smell the flowers after a fall from the 3rd floor.
Are you willfully ignoring the fact that there are also iron bars on the windows?
Yeah, I guess there's that too. Either way, hey, no one can get through these windows, right?
They thought of everything when they were designing this courthouse. Very nice.
Whoa!
What is it, Detective Gumshoe?
The TV... My TV at home is so tiny compared to this one, pal.
Then perhaps you should purchase a more normal-sized television like this one.
Ooh, let me see here. Wow, this thing is huge! Ah! And way too noisy!
You're the noisy one, Scruffy!
Don't touch it! You'll get your fingerprints all over it! But I didn't touch it!
Preservation of a crime scene is the foundation of detective work. The foundation, huh? Sounds like someone's the rookie here needs to shore up on. Okay, can I examine them? Okay. At first glance, it seems they must have killed each other. However,
using logic, the only logical conclusion is, aha!
What was that outburst for?
My detective's instincts just hit me real hard. It was Mr. Rell that fell first, you see?
You don't need a detective's instinct for that. It's common sense. But I suppose we won't know how much more than that until I examine the bodies. Now then, examine the dead bodies. Why are there plastic bags scattered all around?
Those bags are for keeping evidence safe, sir.
I know that much, Detective. Oh wait, I've already read this.
You sure are good with this stuff, aren't you, pal?
Normally, I'd be happy when someone compliments me, but when it's this guy... Anyway, could these plastic bags be evidence of a fight between the two men? Okay. I think it's time for some logic. Let's see, plastic bag. Oh wait, no. No. Examine first, then logic.
Looks like Mr. Faraday, he died while holding his gun in his hand, right?
So he shot Mr. Rell and then fell on top of him while still gripping onto the gun.
I guess that does seem kinda strange, huh?
I mean, why would Mr. Faraday know how to fire... Why would Mr. Faraday know how to fire a gun?
It's not exactly rocket science. I mean, I know how to pull the trigger.
Oh wait, that was Edgeworth. Although, I doubt I'll ever need to use one.
I hope I never have to fire a gun either, pal. But it sure does look cool to hold in your hands.
It appears that the police screening procedures need a thorough review. Anyway, I should jot down some notes about the handgun in Mr. Faraday's hand.
It looks like Mr. Rell died with a knife in his hand.
There's some blood stuck on it.
Then he must have used this as a weapon. Yup, no doubt about it.
Was Mr. Faraday carrying this weapon in his personage? Did he bring this piece of evidence to the trial? Or did he bring it with a very different intention in mind? I should jot down some notes about it. Oh no, it's the same dialogue. I was highlighting the one with blood on it. Okay. Now can I... I think I missed something here. His hand is all black down here, see? I wonder what that could be. Oh wait, that was Gumshoe.
His hand is all black down here, sir. I wonder what it could be.
If you look closely, this blotching pattern resembles an ink stain.
An ink stain?
Yes, I usually get ink on my own hand when I use my feather pen.
A feather pen? I never seen one before. Sure you aren't making that up, Sir Al?
Mr. Rell's cause of death was from being shot, correct?
That's what we think, but it's hard to tell with him lying down, face down.
Death is bad enough, but it's truly lamentable that someone would try to hide the truth.
Are you sure they were trying to hide something?
I can't confirm Mr. Rell's cause of death with his body he positioned like that. Detective Bed, I'd like to examine the bodies in further detail if possible.
What's this? You're not able to form a theory with them in the way they are?
I believe an examination of the bodies is vital to finding the perfect evidence, don't you?
I suppose you do have a point. Well, hurry up and get on with it.
Labby?
Yes, sir. We've taken enough photos, so of the scenes, sir.
And there you have it. Do you not approve? Of course not.
What?
Investigation of the crime scene is the work of a detective, so don't touch anything. Hey, big fella, turn over the bodies for me, will you?
Okay. Please forgive me, Mr. Faraday, sir.
Gumshoe, do not get emotionally involved. Remember, you're a detective.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Hello, what do we have here? There's something sticking out of his breast pocket. It's a fountain pen.
Hey, you know, I always keep a pencil behind my ear. It's because Detective Bad is always telling me you should always write your name on something you own.
Yes, somehow you do strike me as quite the forgetful individual. Let's see, what else is there? Do we have everything that we need? I already examined the bloody knife and the gun. So what am I missing here? I'm pretty sure I'm missing something. I should examine his left hand. Oh wait, no. I already did, and it had ink stain on there. Check the bullet wound. Shot in the chest. It takes some guts to fire a gun in a courthouse.
It takes some guts to fire a gun in a courthouse. I mean, I've been a detective for a whole week and I still haven't fired a single round yet.
There aren't any burn marks on his clothes. That must mean...
Wait, burn marks?
Around grows very hot as it is discharged from the firearm. Therefore, burn marks are usually left when a shot is fired from point blank range. Ergo, Mr. Rell must have been shot from at least a yard or two away.
You sure do know a bunch of neat stuff at your age, pal.
Apparently, this detective has as much common knowledge as your everyday marsupial. Okay. What else is there? Anything that we can put together by logic? Anything at all? Maybe the knife wound?
There's a knife wound in his chest here, sir.
I wonder if the wound matches the knife Mr. Will was holding.
Labby?
Yes, sir. Verifying now, sir.
Make it quick.
From the look of things, one could deduce that the knife Mr. Rell is holding is what killed Mr. Faraday. Let us now try to understand how the two men died. First, Mr. Faraday, he took the gun and the knife out from today's trial evidence. Then he aimed the gun at Mr. Rell and fired. However, Mr. Rell managed to grab the knife and counter Mr. Faraday while being shot. Then the two men fell together where they stood. That's my theory, in any case.
What a crazy way to go!
Still, something about that explanation, it just doesn't seem right. I believe I now have a firmer grasp on what happened here. Do we now? This is where I always get confused at this point in the game, because I never know when the right time to piece together the puzzles are. Let's see. It's obvious the fountain pen and the ink stain. That much is clear. That splotch on Mr. Faraday's hand. I wonder if it might be the ink from his fountain pen.
Oh, let's ask the lab guy.
Detective Gumshoe, I confirm that the substance on Mr. Faraday's hand is the ink from his fountain pen.
I see. Good work. You know, I've always wanted to say that, even if it was just one time in my life.
If Mr. Faraday wrote with his fountain pen in his left hand, I think it's fair to assume that he was left-handed. It appears that Mr. Faraday's pen is very important to our case as well.
Okay, if you say so, pal.
Now then. What else is there? Plastic bags and neat and tidy. There is a very tidy pile of plastic bags on the table, and yet a portion of them wound up scattered on the floor as well. It's not likely that the ones on the floor were knocked over during the struggle. In which case, might there not be another explanation as to how they got there?
Another reason?
I believe it's possible that the blood on the outside of the bag is related somehow.
Yeah, please, get that bag away from me, pal.
Detective Gumshoe, whose blood is on this bag?
Hold on, let me ask the lab guy.
Alright, please hurry.
Wait till you get a load of this, pal. It's Mr. Faraday's. Oh, and the technician said that they didn't find anything else on there, her, or in the bag either.
It would appear that this bag is a very important piece of evidence.
Okay, if you say so, I'll leave it in your hands, pal. I guess there's not much left to investigate, huh? They really did kill each other.
No. We can't conclude that quite yet. There's still something that I find very peculiar here. The theory that they simply killed one another is too simplistic in this case. In fact, there is actually a contradiction that shows there is another possibility.
No way, pal. Really?
I suppose I will just have to show you the conflict in this crime scene. It won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Okay. What do I got in my organizer? I believe this is what we need. There's gotta be something here. I always forget. It should be very obvious, yet I feel like I'm a complete fool for not realizing it. Now we come face to face with the contradiction I spoke of, and it is this. Mr. Faraday used his left hand to write with this fountain pen. Ergo, he is left-handed. And yet the handgun is in his right hand. Don't you find that the left-handed Mr. Faraday would hold... Don't you find it odd that the left-handed Mr. Faraday would hold the gun in his right hand? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the great contradiction haunting this crime scene.
Hey, you're right, pal. Well, that does seem kind of strange. But how could something like that happen?
The facts add up to one conclusion and one alone. Someone else put the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand after he died.
Someone else?
Plastic scattered on the floor and a gun in the wrong hand. I sense the presence of a shadowy figure behind this case. A person of vile intent who is serious about keeping the truth from us. Here's the autopsy report.
It's possible that Mr. Rill survived for a short time after he was shot. However, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously from his stabbing. Interesting. It looks like we know everything we need to know about this case.
Are you sure we know everything?
Of course. The incident began with Mr. Faraday attempting to get his revenge. The prosecutor went into a rage from being accused and tried to kill the defendant. But the defendant fought back and they ended up killing each other. It's all very clear and simple. There's absolutely no margin for doubt.
I really do. You really do. Do you really believe that to be the truth?
Huh. Are you saying that just because I figured out the truth before you, that you don't want to believe it true? Alright. If you disagree with my argument, then prove me wrong. Well, if there are any contradictions to be found, that is.
Don't worry, I will. Here we go. What happened?
Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, while Mr. Rell survived for a short time. From this, it is obvious that Mr. Faraday died after he shot Mr. Rell. And Mr. Rell, while on the brink of death, stole Mr. Faraday's knife and stabbed him. Those are the facts of this case.
Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, therefore, he must have attacked first. Proving that logic to be false is probably the fastest way to show her she's wrong. In that case, I should first look for any holes in her testimony.
Easy enough. Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, while Mr. Rell survived for a short time.
Do you truly believe that Mr. Faraday died instantaneously?
I have the murder report right here. Mr. Faraday died instantaneously of shock due to being stabbed in the chest. There you see, it's been documented clear as day.
Ugh.
From this, it's obvious that Mr. Faraday died after he shot Mr. Rell.
Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Rell before he died? Do you have any basis for that statement?
Your foolishness has no end, does it? Now, I hate to repeat myself, however, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously. That's all the basis I need.
Alright, so if Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, then he must have attacked Mr. Rell before being stabbed.
You're finally beginning to catch on, I see. And Mr. Rell, while on the brink of death, stole Mr. Faraday's knife and stabbed him.
So, you believe that the dying Mr. Rell stole the knife from Mr. Faraday?
Mr. Rell became desperate, as he did not want to die. Human beings can do amazing things when they are put to test. So the two men struggled. And in the end, Mr. Rell was able to grab the knife and stab Mr. Faraday. The messy condition of this room is a testament of their struggle. Yes, my logic is perfectly sound.
can you really say that it is perfect?
What are you insinuating?
Nothing. However, I can't let what you said slide by without further inquiry. One must be clear and precise. So, if you could append in that statement to your testimony?
Fine. They struggled, and Mr. Rell used the last of his strength to counterattack Mr. Faraday.
Objection!
If the two men were fighting, their struggle would have surely caused quite a bit of noise. However, Detective Gumshoe testified that he heard absolutely nothing.
Huh. You place too much faith in that detective's testimony, you know. But for the sake of argument, let's say there wasn't a fight. How then did Mr. Rell get his hands on the knife?
Mr. Faraday's big bag was sitting right here in Lobby 2. It is not hard to imagine that perhaps Mr. Rell saw the chance and took it out at some point.
So, what you're saying is, Mr. Rell took the chance, hence when he saw the opportunity and took the knife from the bag. And then Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Rell after being stabbed.
Isn't there something strange in Franziska's testimony just now? Yes, there is. Something's off. Wait, something doesn't add up.
Oh, really?
It's simply not possible for Mr. Faraday to have shot Mr. Rell after being stabbed.
Take that!
According to a coroner's report, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, meaning that he died immediately upon being stabbed by the knife. Ergo, he could not possibly have fired the gun after that.
Oh, you got me.
But of course.
Well then, if the report is correct, then there is only one correct explanation. If we suppose that Mr. Rell attacked first, then Mr. Faraday, who died instantaneously, would have been unable to kill Mr. Rell. Therefore, Mr. Rell must have stabbed Mr. Faraday after he was shot. Then they both died. That is the only explanation, and that makes logical sense.
Negating your opponent's ideas in order to prove your own theory? I see you've been studying, Franziska.
I just wanted to explain it to you as simple as possible, before you foolishly propose a foolish theory that only a foolish fool like you could.
How naive of you to believe that your opinions are valid. And still expect to discover the truth that the crime scene offers you. Franziska, you still got a ways to go.
And what are you talking about? Are you saying there's a flaw in my logic?
Mr. Faraday died instantly. And the fact that he did is what gives the rise to the contradiction in this scene. The contradiction here in this scene is the order of the bodies fell. Let me get this straight. What you are arguing is this. Mr. Faraday took the gun from his evidence bag and shot Mr. Rell. Then, the wounded Mr. Rell found the opportunity to take the knife and strike back. Upon being stabbed, Mr. Faraday died on the spot, and Mr. Rell died after. If that's the case, then how do you explain this? Take a good look at the order in which the bodies are piled.
No!
Mr. Faraday's body is lying on top of Mr. Rell's. Therefore, Mr. Rell's must have died before Mr. Faraday.
Impossible!
Yes, I agree that it is strange no matter what angle you approach it from. Which means that the real mystery behind this...
No, not so fast, Miles Edgeworth.
What now?
Simply think that you ought to... I simply think that you ought to think a bit more outside the box. And that it's even clearer now how that the incident started with Mr. Faraday's murderous intent.
She sure bounced back quickly. An explanation won't be enough this time. It's going to take some very decisive evidence to prove her wrong.
It was just chance, hence that Mr. Faraday's body fell on top of Mr. Rell's. The two bodies fell into a pile, which indicates that they attacked each other at the same time. It really doesn't matter the slightest that they fell in the opposite order.
Is that what you think? I just know that Franziska's explanation isn't absolutely correct. All I have to do is find a hole in her logic. Once I do, I can present her with the evidence that proves the contradiction. And I know just the statement.
It was just chance that Mr. Faraday, his body fell on top of Mr. Rell's. The two bodies fell into a pile, which indicates that they attacked each other at the same time.
Hold it!
What do you mean by they attacked each other at the same time?
I assume Mr. Faraday had two different weapons in his hands. He made to attack Mr. Rell, all while holding both the knife and revolver. And then, after Faraday fired the gun, Mr. Rell grabbed the knife and, as he was falling, he stabbed Mr. Faraday. That is how Mr. Rell wound up on the bottom with Mr. Faraday at the top. At close range, that is more than possible.
Yes, it's possible, but...
Well, if you have any other ideas, then show me what you've got.
Oh, I will. And to that extent, I'd like you to append what you just said to your testimony.
I don't see any point to that, but as you please. That fact indicates that they attacked each other at the same time, came from close range.
Objection!
So you believe they killed each other at close range? Sorry, but that's impossible. Just as it is written in the crime scene notes, the firing of the handgun did not leave a gunpowder burn on the Mr. Rell's clothes. Therefore, Mr. Rell and the gun must have been separated by a distance of at least 2 or 3 yards. Ah! Yes, this is by far the biggest contradiction. The 2 bodies were piled up on each other, yet the gun was fired from a distance. And with there being no chance that Mr. Rell moved that far after being shot, that leaves only one possible explanation.
What a completely foolish line of foolish thought from a thoughtfully foolish fool. If I'm not right, then who was it that made the first move? Who with the intent to kill, huh? Who?
The person that attacked first with murderous intent, that would be neither of them. Here in this room, contradictions appear no matter what man we claim attacked first. Thus, there can be only one explanation. There was a third person here. It was that third person who killed both Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell, and set their bodies up to make it look like a double murder. That third person is the real culprit.
Miles Edgeworth, there's just one thing you're missing.
Evidence, correct?
Exactly. Everything you said up until now is nothing but a story played out in your head. However, this is where the real test begins. Can you prove that there was a third person involved in this crime?
Of course. A third person was truly here. That fact would resolve the glaring contradiction. The proof that this has all been a setup made to look like they killed each other. I'll present it. I'll lay bare the final piece of the puzzle that's not yet in place.
Take that!
The gun in Mr. Faraday's hand and the plastic bag with his blood on it. These 2 items point to the presence of a third person.
How so?
Recall Detective Gumshoe's testimony?
I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle.
If there wasn't a struggle in this room, then there shouldn't be any plastic bags on the ground, meaning that someone else must have deliberately scattered them around. Do you not see the possibility in this? Disregarding the gun for a moment, there's a high probability of blood splatter on when a knife is used on a person. When the culprit held the knife with a plastic bag around it, they could use the bag to catch any blood splatter from when they withdrew the knife. Then, by spreading a few more plastic bags around, mixing the bloody one in with them, and arranging the room to make it look like there was a struggle between the two. They were able to conceal their presence.
Ah!
Looks like we'll still get a long way to go in this investigation. Yes.
Objection!
What the heck's up with you, pal?
Mr. Badhead, I advise you to place Detective Gumshoe under arrest.
What?
What's the meaning of this?
Huh. Looks like you're not man enough to discipline your own subordinates.
Don't you dare.
That detective claims that he was there, standing in front of the door the entire time. But I have it on good authority that it was all a giant lie.
Ms. Yu, I ask that you please explain that last statement.
I'll let His Honor explain it himself.
I saw it with my own eyes, I tell you. During the recess, there was a period of time when there was no one in the hallway. What?
See, Mr. Bad? So I ask you, why would a detective who was supposedly doing his job the whole time want to fabricate such a lie?
Gumshoe, did you kill Faraday? No! Of course not, sir!
It would appear that the one who set this whole crime scene is that detective. Which basically renders his testimony a complete lie and wholly invalid. It looks like your perfect logic has just come tumbling down, Miles.
I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep or a struggle.
What was that? Was that statement really a lie? Detective Gumshoe, you're now a suspect in the murder of 2 men. Now, spit out the truth, or so help me.
I haven't lied to anyone, sir. Honest. I really was really there. I was in the hallway the whole time.
Hold it!
Detective Bad, I think that you please do not act without any permission. Without my permission. After all, I am the one that is heading up this investigation, am I not? Don't talk like you know what's going on, boy. All I want is for this investigation to run perfectly.
Perfection is the only wish of a disciple of the Von Karma, after all.
Therefore, before you take Detective Gumshoe into custody, I'd like to set the record straight on something. And what's that? What should I ask Detective Gumshoe about? Motive for murder. What else? I suppose the one thing I'd like to clarified is Detective Gumshoe's motive for committing these murders. Motive, huh? Gumshoe? You got a grudge against Faraday or anything?
No, sir, not me. Not a single bad thing against Mr. Faraday, sir.
Is that a fact?
You really have a problem with lying, don't you, Detective Gumshoe?
I'm telling you, I'm not lying.
The more unnatural you act, the more suspicious you become, you know. If you want a motive, Edgeworth, I have one for you right here.
I'm gonna have to try to wrap this up. This is going too long. Could you please share it with us? However, be forewarned that I won't hesitate to object to flights of fancy, because I am interested in the perfect explanation.
You're serious, aren't you? Fine, and you amuse me, so I'll humor you with a little courtroom practice. It was about a week ago. I saw the detective get chewed out by a livid Faraday in front of the precinct. He stood there super pale as Mr. Faraday yelled, "That's a salary cut for you, you nitwit!" A brand new detective suddenly getting his salary cut? That's reason enough for a grudge. Well, how's that for a perfect explanation?
You totally misunderstand me, pal. No matter how mad I get, I could never hold a grudge.
Quiet. We can't trust anything you say.
Sir.
There's something wrong with the motive she produced, per se. But there are some gapes in her logic that need to be filled in. Misuse perfect explanation may not be so perfect after all.
It was about a week ago. I saw the detective get chewed out by the livid Mr. Faraday in front of the precinct. He stood there super pale as Mr. Faraday yelled, "That's a salary cut for you, you nitwit!" A brand new detective suddenly getting a salary cut. That's reason enough for a grudge. Well, that's... How's that for a perfect explanation?
Hold it!
You call your explanation perfect?
Is it not to your liking?
Unfortunately for you, it's just not up to my standards.
Oh? Is there something you want me to clarify in that case?
What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Yes. Alright, if you could clear one thing for me, a motive for killing Mr. Rell. I understand Detective Gumshoe's potential motive for killing Mr. Faraday. However, what about his motive for killing Mr. Rell?
his motive for killing Rel, like I would know.
If there was no clear motive for both the murders, then I doubt this indictment incident would have occurred. Wouldn't you agree? Is there anyone else who might have held a grudge against either of the two men? Or should we look into that ourselves?
Oh, in that case, I have absolutely no idea.
What? But that's impossible. She must know something.
Wait! Can you please not glare at me like that? It makes me laugh.
I didn't even do anything, and you're already laughing away?
Well, anyway, the way I see it, as long as he had a motive to kill one of the two, the crime he would have played out the way it did anyway.
Oh? Would you care to explain your logic? And this time, please, try to prove a truly perfect explanation.
Perfect this, perfect that. Stop being so uptight, or is that a risque trait for being a Von Karma? Miles Edgeworth, I demand that you shut this rude woman up.
I'd wish you both be quiet, if for one second.
Ahem. Oh well, I guess I'll have to explain it to you kids.
Okay, here we go. Let's wrap it up.
There's no one out there with a motive to kill both Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel. All you really have to establish is that someone had a grudge against one of the two men. Mr. Rel who happened to be there, because a witness became a witness to Mr. Faraday's murder. Therefore, he was killed out of necessity and set up to look like they had killed each other.
I wonder if that's really true. Is there no one out there with a grudge against both men? I should take another hard look at the evidence for this morning's case. The second KG-8 incident, as people are calling it, involving the emissary staff member and the two men who both wound up as suspects in the case. Is there someone else I'm overlooking who is somehow related to them?
There's no one out there with a motive to kill both Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel.
Miss Yu, I believe there is someone you overlooked in making your statement. Or rather, is it because you'd rather not bring this person up?
What do you mean?
We are looking for someone with a reason to kill both Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel. I can think of at least one person that fits the bill. That man is the suspect in the original KG-8 incident, and a member of the Godolphin MC staff, Mr. Manny Cochin. That's right, the very man who came to visit you earlier out in the hallway. The man who killed a member of the Godolphin Embassy staff, Mr. Rell, and the man who was the lead prosecutor of the KG-8 incident, Mr. Faraday. Are you telling me that Mr. Cochin had no reason at all to kill both of these men?
Well, I suppose he might have a reason or two.
You covered for me, pal. Maybe you're not such a bad guy after all.
Don't get ahead of yourself. You're still a suspect. Make no mistake about that. The perfect evidence, the perfect testimony, these are the only things I wish to hold.
But I didn't do it!
You will stay under my authority and go investigate Mr. Manny Cochin for me. And remember, I will not... You want to investigate Cochin? You just be wasting your time. And why is that? Cochin was up in the viewing gallery, watching the trial, or so I was told. Every cop up in this place has been keeping an eye on the guy since he arrived.
Then the only real suspect we have is still Detective Gumshoe.
I suppose so.
No way! Come on, Detective Bad! You've gotta believe me, sir! I really was in that hallway the whole time, sir! I never took a single step into this room, sir!
Okay, then are you saying there was someone else who passed through the hallway?
No. There was no one else, sir.
Then why should I believe you didn't do it?
That is one incredibly foolish detective, standing right in front of a crime scene all by himself. It's as good as a confusing confession of guilt.
I have to admit, it's a bit strange. Most criminals will fabricate some sort of lie to escape their crimes. And if that detective really wanted to prove that he is innocent, you'd think he would at the very least offer up, I spaced out while on duty, or the like. Come on, Gumshoe. Time for your interrogation.
Detective Bad.
Miles Edgeworth, I will go on ahead and report this to Papa.
And that, as they say, is that. Right, everyone?
Well, I suppose we should both be getting back to our real jobs now, huh?
Before we do, Miss Yu, there is something I'd like to speak with you about.
What is it? So, what did you want to ask me about?
The current case of the murder heard Godolphin emissary staff member. I've heard that people have begun calling it the second KG-8 incident.
Only among you law enforcement types. And what about it?
I'd like for you to tell me everything you know about the original KG-8 incident.
I'm afraid I can't help you. I don't know anything beyond what was reported in the papers.
No, I believe you know much more, since you are exactly tied to the KG-8 incident.
I appreciate it if you stop with the false accusations. Baseless outbursts are useless both inside and outside of the courtroom. Don't you know?
I do. But I also know that I do have a leg to stand on here.
Think you can stop with that also ultra serious face in front of me?
If you could please stop laughing for just 1 second. I'm not going to make any headway like this. I'm just going to have to show her exactly how related to the KG-8 incident she is. Miss Yu, I believe that I have proof of your connection to the KG-8 incident.
That file is your proof? Very well then. Why don't you tell me exactly how I'm related to the KG-8 incident?
It's through the victim. Your connection to the KG-8 incident is through the victim. The victim's name was CCU. You will note that she has the same last name as you. Can you really still tell me that with a straight face that you are not related to this case?
Sorry, but we're not related.
What?
Just kidding. You asked that question with such a serious look on your face that I couldn't help but...
Miss Yu, I ask that you please tell me the truth.
Ahem. Alright, I'll tell you everything I know.
Let's ask her the questions and wrap it up.
As you guess, the one who reported the smuggling activities was the Amano group. Was my sister CCU.
As I thought.
And she was killed right before she was to testify at the impending trial by Manny Cohen. But because he was tried once, and was acquitted, he gets to live out the rest of his life, cushy life, completely carefree.
All because of a lack of evidence.
No, I heard that the evidence to convict him didn't exist.
What?
I heard it from Mr. Faraday himself after Mr. Cochin's trial was over. Apparently, a man in black made off with the most important piece of evidence.
Then the evidence had been tampered with.
Isn't it just like a criminal to do something like that? The smuggling ring being run out of the Alamo group by one of its secretaries. They bailed Mr. Cochin out. Turns out they were in league with each other all along.
How long was that smuggling ring? How big was that smuggling ring? Was it a large operation?
I don't really know. Which is why I wanted to become the lead of defense. In this case that people are calling the second KG-8 incident. I believe I haven't learned anything new at all. I was probably expecting too much, I know.
You mean you think this case has nothing to do with the smuggling ring?
I don't know what to think.
Why did Mr. Cochin want to meet with you earlier?
Actually, he came to watch the trial. Apparently, he only found out that I was the defense lawyer on this case after he arrived. He figured he should say hi or one other thing. Looks like you couldn't resolve anything this time either. Too bad.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh boy, stop it with the scary face already. I'm fine, really. I gave him a good slap across the face.
The way she talks about slapping him as she laughs away is kinda creepy.
Ahem. But it's just as Mr. Bad says. He's not related to the double murder. I asked around, and people in the gallery claimed that he was in his seat the entire time. Talk about cruel fate. Well, this is about all I know. Sorry. Guess I wasn't much help, huh?
That's not true. I'm sorry I made you recall such a painful time in your life.
Edgeworth, you really are too serious for your own good. You really need to learn to relax. Heck, we wouldn't want you to die of stress, wouldn't we?
Thank you for the advice, but there's no need to worry. I work in my own way, and I will catch the criminal in my own way as well. You'll see.
Look at you, with your game face on, ready to go.
I'm making no such face.
Did you know laughter is the best medicine, Mr. Edgeworth? Don't you get tired of making such a serious face all the time?
I'm charged with making sure that all the criminals of this world are found guilty. I have no need for laughter.
There you go, making that face again. Oh well. I've got to get going. I still have a few loose ends that I need to tie up.
The KG-8 incident and this murder investigation. It is my belief that these two cases are related to each other somehow. Plus that Detective Gumshoe. It's obvious he's lying, even though the lie is hurting his chances. Clearly, this case is far from over. But whether or not that detective is the murderer can only be determined once I've completed my perfect investigation. Mr. Von Karma, I swear to uphold your honorable name, or my name isn't Miles Edgeworth. And that is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button, leave a comment if you want, ring that bell to be notified when our next video comes out. We do new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and occasionally Saturday and Sundays. All this helps my channel to grow so you have more videos to enjoy. Till the next one, this is Saur Darkchylde, signing off. Have a good night, folks.